this before, I'll say it again. I think I said it last night. The Bible suggests be hot or be cold. If you're lukewarm, I'll spat you out. Translation, even God is not like mediocrity. You're going to do something, do it with both feet. So if you're going to show up here, show up with every ounce of energy you got. Give the world everything you've got. Lean in, contribute, be passionate. So one more time, how you doing? Chris Gorman is the CEO of KeyBank, and for the longest time, I thought he was a bit of a stiff shirt. I didn't know him.
Well, you never told me that before. You thought it was a stiff?
I thought you were stiff. But because you were removed from me. We didn't have a personal relationship, and I just saw you through the lens of your team, who did a great job of curating your movements, and nothing negative. I just thought, here's a guy that is stiff. And I was wrong, because I saw you, I kept seeing you in weird places. And I saw you, the first time you caught my attention, I thought, okay, I've got Chris wrong. Was you were at the Treasury Department, not for meetings about the monetary system or the infrastructure for the country, or you were there for the Freedmen's Bank. It was a Freedmen's Bank forum.
Yep.
And very important, now mind you, he's a CEO of one of the largest banks in the country, which means in the world, with the largest economy in the world. And you get in these positions, and it's natural to have an ego, and you need to be like the focus of attention. That wasn't Chris. He was at the coffee station and came over and said hello to me. I don't know if you remember that conversation.
I remember it.
He was sitting in the back of the room at Treasury Department for the Freedmen's Bank Forum, was not on the program, was there observing. If you don't know, the Freedmen's Bank was created by Abraham Lincoln. It was inspired by a black pastor out of New York who actually came up with the original idea of the Freedmen's Bank to basically domicile the savings of black Union soldiers in the Civil War. And he inspired Congress, but really Abraham Lincoln, to create the Freedmen's Bank, March 3rd, 1865, bank charter to teach free slaves about money. And Frederick Douglass took over the bank when Abraham Lincoln was unfortunately assassinated in April of 1865, the next month. And so we were instrumental in getting the Treasury Department, Secretary Jack Lew, Wale Adeyemo, Deputy Secretary of the Treasury now, who's here with us, to get the bank building renamed. And they created a Freedmen's Bank Forum. And so I attend this forum, and here's this guy in the back of the room, and it didn't make sense to me, because I'm thinking, I'm almost positive this is the CEO. And then he walks up to me at the coffee station, and you started a conversation with me, and clearly you knew all the history. You were there. I said, okay, this is a fluke. The next year, here's Chris again. Meet him at the coffee station. He's also there. Now he's on the program. And I talked to my team. We're talking to KeyBank about doing stuff. And then I hear we've got a partnership. And of course, we got a chance to spend some quality time together, finally opening one of our locations together. Help me understand. I'm continually, again, a case for optimism. Yep. I'm continually pleasantly surprised. Yep. I love being disappointed. I love being wrong about people when I have the wrong expectation about their high frequency. You were high frequency. I thought you were no frequency. I thought you were just neutral. Clearly you had this passion. Clearly you had this interest. Nobody's perfect. No institution's perfect. The fact that you stepped into this experience at the Freedmen's Bank said something to me about you. You didn't send somebody. You showed up yourself. Why?
Well, I just think it's important to, first of all, I just want to, thank you for us being part of this, and thank you for your partnership over the years.
Honored.
And by the way, this whole making a case for optimism, I don't know how you guys feel, but that really resonates with me. There's a million pessimists out there. Nothing's perfect. But I think making a case for optimism, there's a lot to be said. So let's give John a hand.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Chris.
So,
And by the way, you're stuck with me as a new friend.
good. There's nothing better than a new friend that becomes an old friend. The reason that I show up is I think we can make a difference. And I think I can make a difference. I think about my responsibility as running Key. And, we at Key are only as strong as the communities in which we operate. We have 3.5 million customers. We have 17,000 employees. But all of our employees and all of our customers come from the communities that we serve. And so as a consequence, the stronger we can make the communities that we serve and serve every day, the better for all, kind of expanding the pie. So I just feel like we have a responsibility, and I think we're in a position where I think we can make a difference. I think we can transform people's lives. And when you talk about credit availability, whether it's someone buying their first house, opening their first business, retiring, sending their kid to college, I just think we can make a difference, and I think we have a responsibility to, and I also think it just makes a ton of sense for our country.
Yeah, that wasn't the question I was asking you. You answered the question, but that wasn't the question I was asking you. I read people really, it's one of my few talents. I read people really well. I can see BS coming. I can see drama coming. I can see insincerity coming. I have no interest in it. I want a drama-free zone around me. I walk through life consciously oblivious of most things. So I'm focused on. And when I saw you, I met you, I focused on you. And there's something in you beyond what you said that's personal. I don't know your story, but something underneath that causes you to care and drives all this other stuff you're doing at the bank. I want to know. We want to know, don't we? We want to know what's that.
So look, I think we're all a product of our background, whatever it is.
Yes.
So I lived in Mexico City from the time I was 6 until I was 12. And that's an interesting, when you live in a different country and you don't speak the language, I think you learn a lot. It happens to be that, Mexico is obviously, on a relative basis compared to the United States, an impoverished place. I went to a huge public high school in Indianapolis, Indiana. We had 3,600 kids in 3 grades. We had some of everything. It was very integrated.
You had black friends growing up.
We had a ton. I played basketball, had a ton of black friends. And the school that I went to, there were people that were advantaged and disadvantaged from, whites, blacks, I could go down the whole list. And I just think, I just learned a lot. I'm a student of people like you are. And I just thought, there's a way that we can play a role that we can lift everybody up. So that's kind of what drives me. That's my background.
And the decency, is it anything to do with your family environment, good or bad?
No, my family are very hardworking, decent people. Obviously, to their credit, they were accepting of all. That's why we ended up living in foreign countries and doing things like that. And I think that's really helpful, because I wasn't just around people that looked like me my whole life. And we were my family just really solid, caring people.
And would it be a jump, would it be a presumption to then suggest that one of the reasons you keep doubling down and trying to execute on your business plan, even when it's frustrating, even when some people are criticizing you, even when people say you're not hitting the mark, and maybe you are, maybe you aren't, but you keep at it, is it because of this childhood experience that some people don't have the shot that you had?
That's a big part of it. I think this whole notion of giving everybody an opportunity, and I think, look, things go wrong. I mean, things go wrong in business, things go wrong in life, and whether it's our business, whether it's our customers, whether it's our prospects, I think you just got to be really resilient. And I think helping people be resilient, we have to be resilient, And if we're not resilient, how can we expect our customers and our prospects to be resilient? I just think resiliency is important.
Resiliency is my middle name.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
got it.
absolutely.
To that.
I take no for vitamins.
Yeah, no.
I believe success is going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm.
I mean, anyone that on any given day has everything going their way isn't paying attention or isn't trying hard enough. Because it's just life.
I think that I just keep looking at the clock because I want to make sure we make sure we get all the substance in, and I'm just so fascinated.
Yeah.
I'm talking to leaders like you because I think people got to figure out how people like you work, how your brain works, so they can replicate the good stuff embedded in their DNA and their business system. Because they don't get a chance to have candid conversations like this or observe them.
Well, and I think this ties in with a lot of the other stuff. I talk about being durable. You've got to be durable. Like bad things happen. I don't care if it's in your family, sickness, something unexpected, financially something happens. For us, it was March 7th of this year, and all of a sudden Silicon Valley Bank failed, and the game just changed.
Yeah.
And I had the team in all weekend. I said, look, guys, we've got to be out in front of our clients. We got to be really resilient.
I sent you a note about it.
Yeah, we got to be really durable. People are questioning if the whole system is stable. People are questioning, we have $145 billion of deposits. We had to be out talking to our customers, making sure they felt good about us. So, this whole notion of being durable, being resilient, I personally think is the biggest determinant of success in life. There's a lot of different things, but if you are those two things, I think you win. And I think that applies to whether it's financial education, whether it's applied to it applies to getting your credit score up, all the things that you do so well, John.
Thank you.
Being durable and being resilient is what it's all about.
Being durable, being resilient, being focused.
Yep.
But also being authentic.
Yep.
I hate fakes.
Yep.
And again, it struck me when we met and when you came, you were curious, you were nosy.
Yeah.
I asked Quincy Jones, one of my mentors, how'd you get so smart?
Yeah.
He said, I'm just nosy as hell.
Yeah.
I want to know everything about everything. And you were nosy. You wanted to come talk to me. I would have wanted to come talk to you. But you were curious to me. How'd you do this? What the history of the bank? What are you doing right now, John? You were always learning.
The smartest people in the world are the people that ask the most questions and are intellectually curious. Because think about everyone's life experience sitting here. Think about, Ed Bastian, who just walked in, who's going to be, I don't know anything about what it's like to run an airline.
He doesn't know what it's like to run a bank.
No, I could spend a half hour asking him about, what does it take? How do you figure out the routes? How do you figure out where you want to play?
Yeah, whenever you're around smart people, they're always asking questions. And the dummies always want to give you commercials for like 35 minutes.
Right.
But really, smart people are always asking. That's why God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth.
Yep.
So you listen twice as much as you talk. And so, again, when I was told that we had our partnership and we were going in together to Buffalo and going to open a location together, I thought that was really, really cool because we get to spend some more time together and I could find out what was underneath this person who cared so much. And you were, once again, comfortable in an underserved community. And we did a couple interviews together, and most importantly, we launched this branch together. And you leaned over to me when the cameras weren't on and the mics were off, and you said something to me that changed my whole life. And I've been ripping off your quote ever since. I've used your quote, Dr. King, by the way, Martin Luther King used to say, by the way, I know this, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and my mentor, Ambassador Andrew Young, our global spokesman, and Mayor, by the way, Mayor Andre Dickens, who'll be here later as our co-chair, and thank him for his support. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. gave his last staff meeting for SCLC for the Poor People's Campaign about 30 yards from here in that ballroom across the hall. The last meeting he ever held was right here in this hotel, moving from civil rights to silver rights, from the streets to the suites. And so we're in this historical moment. And I think that we're in the third Reconstruction, opportunity for all. And I do believe there's a case that we've got to make for optimism. I can't guarantee you that being positive is going to make you a success, but I absolutely guarantee you that being negative will make you fail.
That is so true.
And by the way, nobody likes a miserable person.
That's also true.
Yeah. So you're not miserable. You're positive. You punch through problems. Again, some people have criticized you to me, and I've said to them, I like what Chris is doing much better than what you're not doing. And so you showed up they weren't criticizing you, by the way. They're criticizing banking, by the way. And by the way, there is no perfect.
Well, and that's another thing. You have to have thick skin. I mean,
to be a leader.
To be a leader, you have to have the courage of your convictions. You have to be very intellectually honest about what's working and what's not. And on any given day, there's some of each. But there's also, I mean, it's easy to, anyone could take a shot at John. I mean, all he did is gather 5,400 people, and maybe it should have been 6,400. I don't know, it's easy when you're out front, and you just got to be, honest. But by the same token, you can't be deterred. You need to listen to people when they're critical of you, but you can't be deterred.
Yeah. Again, it goes back to your resilience. In your so, but in the midst of this, again, you've got this optimism, and you continue to punch forward. So you said something. So I was saying the story about Martin Luther King Jr. So you guys thought I lost my place.
I didn't.
Thank you, Chris.
I knew you were coming around.
Dr. King would listen to preachers.
Yeah.
And he'd say, "Hey, Joe, I really like what you said. I'm gonna give you credit the first 3 times. The 4th time is mine." and I love this quote from Melody Hobson. I keep giving her credit for it. She says, "I love math because it doesn't have an opinion." And you said something to me in Buffalo at the ribbon cutting that rocked my world. Do you remember it?
I do remember it.
Can you share with the audience what you said to me? It was gangster.
I said the only freedom in life is financial freedom, and I really believe that. I mean, if
So slow it down. I want you to be critical of that statement. I want you to be critical of what he just said. Think about it. Let's roll it back. Religious freedom. Somebody can take it away from you. Help me out. Political freedom. Someone can take it away. People trying to do it right now. Help me out. Social freedom. Mental mindset. Slavery messed up the minds of the enslaved people. They took it away from them. I believe some people are still depressed today because of that generational curse. Help me out. Anybody can take away something that you don't have control over. So then you said, what you really said to me was, you put the word only. It is possible that the only true freedom is financial freedom. I've been wearing that out ever since you said it. I think I've given you credit a couple of times.
You don't need to give me credit for it. I'm sure I got it from somebody. No.
But why did you? That was so wise, Chris. Tell us why you said that. And then we want to get into our partnership.
Financial freedom enables you to live where you want to live, do what you want to do, help other people out that you want to help out. I just think if you think about it, it just gives you, if you have financial freedom, you're not trapped. You're not trapped in some bad relationship. You're not trapped in living in a city you don't want to live in. You're not trapped in a job that you don't find satisfying. You can do what you want to do. And there's a reason that throughout history people have literally died for their freedom because it's the most important thing.
So, and as we wrap, Chris, tell us what we're doing together.
Sure,
around financial freedom.
Yeah, so I'd love to talk about that. So, John and I were sitting in the parking lot of our branch in East Buffalo, and I'll come back to what we're doing together, but it just shows that doing the kind of work that John does and that many, many of you in the room do can really make a difference. Key had put that branch in this, we call it the Delavon branch, but we had put it in a really tough area that was kind of a desert.
Yep.
And as John and I sat there, guess what? Once we put, and it was like a CVS or a Walgreens. You can almost tell by looking at it. Because it's too big to be a branch. It looks like a drugstore, like a CVS or Walgreens. And we're sitting there, and guess what? Around the whole thing, on each corner now, completely redone. So that this whole notion of being a catalyst, of making an investment, giving someone the opportunity to raise capital. So getting back to what we're doing is this hope inside. And so what we want to do is, as you think, people talk about income disparity. The real disparity is wealth disparity, right? We know that. I mean, that's the real challenge right now. And one of the ways you get around that is helping people buy a house, helping people start a business, and getting people's credit scores up. And this whole notion of hope inside is, banks are not liked, and the reason we're not liked, candidly, is banks are the only people that tell people no, right? And in the society that we live in, no, John, you can't have that credit card or for this reason or that reason. And obviously it's bad for our business, it's bad for the communities, it's bad for everything. Yeah. So the question is, how do you get to a point where you don't just tell people no, you tell people no, not now, but if you do this, and this, there's a well-worn path that goes to yes.
Yes.
And that is what motivated us to get involved with you, to have a program where, look, when you decline people for credit, you can walk people through. Here's your credit report. Here are the things that you can fix. And by the way, it's very prescriptive. There's not a lot of voodoo to it. I mean, it's just like, if you do this, then the number goes from here to here.
Yeah.
And so this whole notion, I've always wanted to have an opportunity where when we weren't bringing people into the banking system, and by the way, keeping people out of the banking system is a terrible idea. That's right. Check cashing, and I can go down the whole list. So our need is to bring people in. And this whole notion of hope inside is when someone doesn't qualify for credit, what do they need to do and by when? And then when they qualify, make sure that they avail themselves to everything that's out there. One of the challenges, there's many, many good programs, but a lot of them, they don't reside in one person. For example, if someone's buying a house, we provide money for either a down payment, for repairs, for closing costs, because that's what's hard, right? What's hard is to come up with the initial downstroke. And this whole notion of hope inside is basically a way to go from no, not yet, to now we're ready, to here's how you do it. That's in a short version. That's what excites me about hope inside. And as you know, we're up and running in a bunch of places, and we'll be up and running in a bunch more places.
And when we got together, we're out of time, but so excited about that. When we got together in Buffalo, you went to one of the worst neighborhoods in Buffalo. You put your bucket down there. You remodeled this now beautiful branch.
Yep.
You empowered people who look like me to run the dang on thing, to run the whole program. They actually like you. Your employees actually think you're a cool guy, which is very indicative. And they say good things about you behind your back, which is a beautiful thing. And when I want you to, do you know the address of this?
We call it the Delavon branch. I don't know. It's on Delavon Street. I just don't know what the address is.
So I want you guys to search the next couple of days.
It's East Buffalo, Delavon branch.
Buffalo.
Key Bank, Delavon branch, East Buffalo.
And Hope Inside.
Look at and Hope Inside.
Don't try to take our word for it. Look this branch up. It was a horrible neighborhood, destroyed in many ways, low levels of hope. They went in, they put this branch there, and literally McDonald's new across the street, new CVS across the street, new gas station across the street. What used to be drugs and murder and mayhem and depression is now economic activity and jobs and prosperity. And now the whole place has a pulse and a resonance. You can do this. We can do this. These are not poor people. These are underserved people. And if you do what Chris is saying, you can make a capitalism work for all of God's children. Join me in saying thank you to Chris Gorman.
Hence the case for optimism. You're the best.